Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us for our final night of the Mayor's recommended fiscal year 23 budget that's being heard in the Operations Management Budget and Government Accountability Committee. My name is Councilman T.J. Clark. I serve as the City Council Majority Leader and co-chair of this committee. And up first, we are going to have our Corporation Counsel's office give a presentation. But before they get started, just want to introduce my council colleagues. You have Councilwoman Marilyn Rossetti, Councilman John Gale, Councilwoman Shirley Surgeon, Councilman James Sanchez, Council President and Co-Chair Mally Rosado, and Councilwoman Tiana Hercules. We also are streaming live from HPA-TV.org, Comcast Xfinity, and also on Frontier channels. So without further ado, I would like to turn it over to our Corporation Counsel, Attorney Howard Rifkin.
Thank you, Councilman Clark. And thank you to all members of the council for this opportunity to appear before you and present our budget for fiscal year 2020. Joining me is Deputy Corporation Counsel Alexandra Lombardi. I decided that we would start at the end, although the last slide says thank you, but the slide before that is a summary of our budget. And just to point out that essentially the Corporation Council budget has been generally flat since fiscal year 2017, where we substantially reduced the budget as a result of the financial exigencies that we faced when the Bronin administration first took office. So for FY 2023, even though there's a slight change projected a net of minus 3.6%, it's really a flat budget. What was moved out of our general fund budget was an appropriation for the Police Review Board of $75,000. And there was some additional adjustments for personal services. So pretty flat. I would also point out that personal services is the real bulk of the Corporation Council's budget. It represents 97% of the general fund appropriation. So with that, let me go back to the organization chart and to talk a little bit about that and our current vacancies and our plans going forward. I'm going to ask Alex Lombardi to speak to that issue.
Hi, everyone. Thanks again for the opportunity to present to you tonight. Before you have the Corporation Council organization chart. Shows our two senior assistant corporation counsels. Our assistant corporation counsels names were filled, and you can see there we have two vacant assistant corporation counsel positions, a vacant associate counsel position, two paralegals with one vacant paralegal position, and our legal assistant listed there. The vacant associate counsel position is very new. Unfortunately, Sierra Minachi Mori, which some of you had the pleasure of meeting over the past couple of months, was a new and welcome addition to our office, did great work for us, and we're excited for her. She got an opportunity to work in child protection with the AG's office, and it's an area of the law about which she's extremely passionate. And so we are happy for her, sad for us, but it does mean that we will be actively recruiting for a new associate counsel position in short order.
I echo that.
Yeah, she was really great, and it is a loss for our office. And we do have great need for an associate counsel, someone who can gain great experience with our office and also help us out with FOIs, research needs, supporting the Hartford Parking Authority. She did a wide array of things, and so We will be actively recruiting for that position with a priority on filling that position with someone who is a Hartford resident, and obviously always mindful of the diversity of our office in filling that role. So that, with that said, we can move along to the staff composition. This was something that council asked us to include in our presentation, and you have that listed there. Sierra's demographics are not listed here, again, because we knew she would have left our office by the time of our presentation, but she was a City of Hartford resident. And again, Howard and I do prioritize residency and diversity when filling roles in our office.
Thanks, Alex. Just to go back one slide for 1 second. Just to for those watching at home, members of the council are fully understanding of the role of the Corporation Counsel and the areas of focus that we're engaged with, but just to highlight that we represent the city in all litigation, provide advice and counsel to boards and commissions, obviously the Court of Common Counsel, actively engaged in representing the city in commercial and real estate transactions, all of the any contracts or documents that are entered into on behalf of the city are examined for legality and form. And we work on compliance and enforcement issues, for example, filing of license as one example. In the next slide, we are highlighting just some of the issues from this current fiscal year. I want to just focus on one briefly, and that's a recovery of over $500,000 in relocation assistance payments. Back in 2016, some of you might recall that the city was held in contempt by Housing Court Superior Court Judge, because for many years, the city had not provided any relocation assistance to individuals and families who were, through action of the government, that is condemnation of their building, a fire that caused the need for relocation. The city just had not been providing benefits that were statutorily required. And so we again were cited for contempt, and we entered into a negotiated settlement with Greater Hartford Legal Aid that set up a fund available to those who had been previously denied relocation assistance. But as part of that effort, we recommitted to our efforts and through our office to get reimbursed from landlords, either through insurance policies or directly as a result of the city having to pay for the relocation, temporary relocation of tenants. So I'm very pleased about that progress that has been made. You can note the other highlights that are on this slide. And with that, I think I would open it up to questions.
Through you, Mr. Chair. I don't know what's going on.
I think we might have lost Councilman Clark.
Okay.
Yeah,
You have the floor, Councilwoman.
Okay. More of a statement, but budget related. I just really want to thank you for the last year. Again, looking at, we've had to adjust pandemic wise. And yes, a real loss by losing particularly Attorney Menache More through my committee. But I want to continue to thank you for flexibility with virtual meetings and particularly helpful with some of the issues through my committee. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Through you, Chair, this is Tiana. Thank you so much, Attorney Rifkin, for the presentation and for your counsel when I have questions. I was just curious, going back to the 500,000 recovery, is that a special thing only in relations to that that lawsuit, or is the city still able to recover relocation assistance funds from landlords when they relocate families?
Thank you for the question. In fact, the 500,000 that we project, over 500,000 to receive, is unrelated to the litigation in which we were found in contempt. It is the city's effort to recover from, as I said, landlords, either through their insurance companies or directly, payments that the city has to make as a result of providing relocation assistance.
Thank you for that clarification.
Councilman Clark, are you able to, I know you're
No, I'm
in this
sorry,
meeting. Are you able to see everyone on the screen?
Yeah, I can see everyone. I'm sorry. I have a bad internet connectivity. I know Councilwoman Hercules just spoke. Are there any other council colleagues that have questions for Corporation Counsel?
Yes, Council Chair Shirley Surgeon.
All right, Councilwoman.
Through you, Mr. Chair. Attorney Rifkin, thank you so very much for your presentation. And you actually told me how many vacant positions out of the 15 positions that you have. So that kind of answers one of my questions. So thank you for that. I was looking through the budget and I couldn't find somewhere where's the total settlements that you have had this year for, and all the settlements you do in representing the city. Do you by chance know what that number would be? 10, 12.
So just for everybody's edification, the appropriation for our settlement account and for the services of outside counsel is found in the sundry budget, which is in the large budget page or section 29-6. We have a settlement budget this current fiscal year of $1 million. I believe that by the end of the fiscal year, we will have paid out in settlements close to that, if not slightly more.
Okay. So, and I see that we budgeted for page 28, 29. You budgeted for this fiscal year about 3.6 million.
That's a combination of settlement and outside counsel. So for this current this budget, between those two line items is proposed approximately $2.55 million, of which $1 million is for settlements and 1.5 roughly for retention of outside counsel.
Yeah. So in the budget, for 2022 budget, we budgeted about 3 million. for all the legal services. And as of the 9 months in this fiscal year, we have spent about 2.3 million.
Yeah, and I think I might be wrong. I don't have what you're looking at, Councilwoman Surgeon, but in that part of the sundry budget, there's a line item for tax appeal refunds.
Yep.
Or tax appeals and refunds.
Mhm.
So the 3.5 or 3.6 million that you're talking about includes that, as well as expenses for outside counsel and settlement numbers.
Yeah,
So
last year we budgeted 450, and so far with all the tax appeal, it appears that you have doubled that this year.
it's possible. I
Yeah,
haven't
yeah.
Well, looked at that
Yeah, I know you don't have those with you. And so this year we have put actually $1 million in the budget for the tax appeal refund.
Right, it's $1,075,000 is what the recommended appropriation is.
Right. Yeah. That just through you, Mr. Chair, again, the for example, someone falls on on the ground and city property. Is there also in these settlements, for somebody break their tires, driving over potholes? Where are those small settlements found?
Well, we certainly could provide you with a list of settlements. As you know, my office has authority to settle suits up to and claims up to $24,999.99. The mayor has authority from $25,000 to $50,000, and then any settlement above that has to be brought to the city council. I would say that based on, again, the standards in state law, we get many pothole claims, particularly during the spring season.
Mm-hmm.
And they are often denied because there's certain standards set in state statute prior to the municipality becoming liable for any damage associated with them. I will say that is so. There's that, and there is also similar standards for any sidewalk defect. So there's not absolute immunity, governmental immunity, associated with either potholes or accidents that occur as a result of sidewalk defects, but there are certain standards that are required, or thresholds that are required before somebody can actually collect on a claim.
Thank you for that. I remember that a little bit from my past days. So you will be able to send me how many of these pothole or falls that we have settled, the ones for under the 24,999, and then for how many mayor's office have settled for less than 50,000.
Yeah, I can tell you that there is no pothole claim that settled beyond my authority, and we're talking at most in the thousands of dollars, maybe.
Right.
Just so, if that's your
yes,
area of interest, we'll try to do a run of claims regarding potholes.
Yeah. Yes, sir. So thank you so very much. And again, I just want to thank you and your office for the services and for the attorneys that you have sent to committee meetings. They have been extremely helpful in helping us, with our questions at the committee level. So thank you very much for your service.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Surgeon. Any other questions from the council?
I don't have a question, but I have a comment. I just want to thank Corporation Counsel Howard Rifkin for always being there for Counsel. I know that he gives me great advice, and also to Alexander Lombardi. And thank you so much for your presentation.
Thank you.
And those are my
Okay.
comments, Mr. Chair.
If there are any other questions or comments from my council colleagues?
Majority Leader John Gale, if I can be heard.
Councilman Gill, you have the floor.
Thank you. I apologize. I'm driving and can't pay more attention, but I do have one question for council. That has to do with the foreclosures, tax lien foreclosure actions. I understand that we hire outside counsel from Halloran and Sage for some of these, and I'm just wondering if outside counsel is also collecting attorney's fees when they're seeking tax foreclosures, and whether the collection of attorney's fees is being offset against whatever we might be paying them. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Gale. Yes, we use Halloran and Sage on some of these issues. Part of the reason for that is because the city has become much more aggressive, and we don't have the bandwidth to do it all within house. We pay them a negotiated fee, hourly fee for the work that they do. So that is the way in which they are compensated.
And yes, Councilman Gale, they do collect attorney's fees, and they don't offset what we pay them. Those checks are remitted directly to our office for deposit. But yes, they do collect attorney's fees, and we do get those sums back.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilman. Any other questions? Seeing none. Thank you, Corporation Counsel Rifkin and Deputy Corporation Counsel Lombardi. We thank you for your presentation, and please continue the great work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have, when she is ready, she probably is, our Chief Operating Officer, Ms. Thea Montanez.
Good evening, Councilman Clark, Council President Bizzotto, and members of City Council. Can you hear me okay? Yes. Okay, I'm seeing nodding heads.
Yes, we can.
Great. Thank you so much, Councilman Clark, and thank you for the opportunity to present to you this evening the recommended budget for the Office of the Chief Operating Officer. I am very proud this evening to be joined by several members of our team, and I'm just going to go ahead and acknowledge them. Nat Gale, our Director of Capital Projects and Operations, Patricia McIntosh, our Director of Community Safety and Wellness, as well as Karen Taylor, our Director of Equity and Opportunity. Janice Castle, who is our Director of Community Engagement, who is in the office of the mayor. However, Janice's team at the 311 Service Center is part of the office of the COO. In addition, Courtney Jackson, our Director of the North Hartford Promise Zone, is also with us this evening. And Gabriela Anderson Sanchez, our Operations Manager. And I'm also going to give a shout out to Corey Mills, who is currently a member of Jen Hockenhall's team in the Office of Budget. But Corey is going to be transitioning to the office of the COO as our newly hired performance manager. So thank you to my incredible team for joining me tonight and for all of their hard work and dedication to the city. Jeff Hallen in budget, thank you in advance for operating the slides tonight for me. If we could go to slide 2, please. Perfect. Thank you so much. So the mission of the Office of the COO is to serve as the principal managerial aide to the mayor and to oversee day-to-day operations of the city, and in addition to coordinate special projects and interdepartmental initiatives. Our strategic priorities include leading interdepartmental efforts to support our city's recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic for the benefit of our employees, our residents, our businesses, and visitors to the capital city. The second here is to continue efforts to improve performance of city departments departments, including significant projects that require interdepartmental collaboration. One example that I shared with the council and the community last year during last year's budget presentation was the problem property working group that we had started in response to residents who were very frustrated at the number of residential properties operating as illegal after hours clubs. That working group consists of 5 different city departments that are now led by Judith Rothschild and the Department of Development Services. And that group continues to meet in response to reports of problem properties. But that is one example of a new working group, that started within the Office of the COO to help bring together our city departments so we can more effectively respond to the needs, especially of issues related to quality of life issues. And we know that many times when these issues come up, they involve multiple city departments. And so we've had great success with that working group. And we will continue to use that as a model for finding other issues that we can partner on together as a team. The third priority is to expand our efforts to use data to inform decision-making throughout our operating departments. Our 311 service center, and I will share information about the work that they've been doing for the past year, collects a lot of critical information from the residents and other community stakeholders. And we'd like to use that information more effectively, again, to figure out how we can be doing better as a city when responding to the needs of our community. And as I mentioned, Corey Mills will be joining our team soon. And as the performance manager, Corey will be doing a lot of this work focused on data gathering to improve city policies and procedures. Next slide, please. So this is the organizational chart for the Office of the COO. It certainly has changed quite a bit in comparison to when I first joined the city back in 2016. I think in 2016, when Bonnie Malley was the then COO, there were 3 people in our office. And as you can see, we have grown tremendously. But the majority of these positions are positions that were elsewhere in the city, not in the Office of the COO. And so these positions have transitioned to the Office of the COO so that they can be more effective, again, at responding to the needs of our community. So as you can see, it is myself as the COO and my assistant, Gabriella Anderson-Sanchez. Within the office, there are 3 divisions. The first being the Office of Equity and Opportunity, which is led by Karen Taylor. As you can see, Karen has an assistant, that is Miss Kim Taylor. And as you know, we have the newly formed Office of the Inspector General, that is Liam Brennan. And so Liam is also housed within Karen's division. However, Liam does not report to Karen. As you all know, Liam reports directly to the chair of the Civilian Police Review Board. However, Liam does work with Karen regarding administrative items. There currently is 1 vacant position within Liam's team, and that is an Assistant Inspector General. The second division within the Office of the COO that is new is the Office of Community Safety and Wellness, and that is led by Patricia McIntosh. Many of you have met Patricia for the past 2 years. She has been leading the planning and implementation of the HART team, or the Hartford Communities Responders Initiative. The Office of Community and Safety and Wellness, really was inspired by just, my learnings since my time with City of Hartford. Within the Office of the COO, historically, there has been a major focus on managing and maintaining the physical infrastructure of the city, right? And that's our streets and our school facilities and our libraries and our park system. And that's really important, right? Those are considered city assets. But I think all of you will agree that in addition to our physical infrastructure, the city of Hartford also has a lot of human capital, right? And so those are the people that we are all committed to serving each and every day. And there certainly are opportunities that we as a city can rethink the way in which we are responding to the needs of our community as it pertains to their safety and wellness. And so that is what really inspired us to create this new division. which is funded, specifically Patricia's position is funded through American Rescue Plan dollars that were allocated to support staff focusing on work around violence intervention and prevention. And so Patricia's portfolio includes the HEART team, the newly announced Hartford, the Hospital Violence Intervention Program, which earlier today, Mayor Bronin was joined by Councilman Clark, along with our 3 hospital systems and our community partners to talk about that initiative. And we're really excited to finally get that off the ground. In addition, the North Hartford Promise Zone, which is led by Courtney Jackson, also works with Patricia. And last, but certainly not least, is the work that Sue Gunderman does as our Director of Reentry Services. And then our third division is our capital projects and operations division. That work is led by Nat Gale. And I know you heard from Nat recently as he presented the recommended budget for CIP. Within Nat's portfolio is the Office of Sustainability, which was once led by Shubha Kambli, who left the city for an amazing opportunity with the state of Connecticut so she can continue her work just on a larger scale. We are actively recruiting for that position. In fact, I think there is actually a finalist that we will be meeting with soon. So I anticipate we will fill that vacancy shortly. There is in a sustainability assistant, that is Adam Murphy. Then there is Corey Mills, our newly hired performance manager. And there is then the 311 staff that again are led by Janice Castle. Next slide, please. There are lots of reasons I am proud of our team, and that includes, it's the diversity of our staff. So as you can see, 73% of our team are Hartford residents, and the remaining 27% are not. Please keep in mind that there are positions within the COO that are either unionized or classified and are therefore not required to establish residency. You will see the racial ethnic breakdown of our department. Again, I'm very proud of the fact that, as you can see, 33% Hispanic or Latino, 33% African-American, 20% white. And there was, I think, 2 people that did not identify either as other or preferred not to say. The vast majority of our team is female, 73%, and the remaining are male. And the other point, data point I wanted to share is that 7 out of the 14 current employees in the office of the COO are all proud graduates of the Hartford Public School System, including some folks that are on this call this evening. So we're also very proud of that. Next slide, please. A couple of, departmental highlights. I wanted to share, the department, our team continues to oversee the continuity of operations and recovery efforts during the past 2 years during this pandemic. One of the highlights of this past year was the fact that our team, in partnership with the health department and the fire department, was able to work together to make Hartford the first city in the state of Connecticut that distributed at-home COVID-19 test kits to their residents. You remember, I think we did that right around holiday time. We did it in partnership with the Hartford Public Library, and we were able, again, to be the first in the state of Connecticut to get COVID at-home test kits in the hands of our residents. And we will continue to do that level of partnership again during this pandemic. The second is leading the implementation of the city's American Rescue Plan. The third, and this work has been led by Karen Taylor, is supporting the hiring and onboarding of the permanent inspector general. And I talked a little bit about that as I gave an overview of our organizational chart. The fourth is establishing the new Office of Community Safety and Wellness. And last but not least, developing and recommending a $130 million capital improvement program, which is again led by Nat Gale. And part of Nat's work also includes, trying to build and strengthen that CIP program and updating our policies and procedures as it pertains to CIP. Next slide, please. So I just want to share some divisional highlights. It was really difficult for me to pick just 3 things that each of the divisions has been successful in implementing this past year. This certainly is not an exhaustive list. And again, I'm grateful to them for everything they do each and every day. But I did at least want to give you 3 examples of some of the things that they've been working on. I will start with the Office of Equity and Opportunity. You will see a photo that is a photo of last year's Juneteenth celebration in Bushnell Park. That was the first time the city had ever organized a Juneteenth celebration. And we were really, really proud. Karen did that in partnership with multiple, community-based organizations. And that certainly was one of the accomplishments I wanted to highlight for you. Karen, in partnership with Janice Counsel, has been working with community groups, including the Amistad Center. And we are really excited about this year's Juneteenth celebration, which will not just be one day, but it'll be a week-long, actually, set of activities. In addition, Karen continues to partner with HR to coordinate EEO trainings like our mandated sexual harassment training, the ADA training that we were required to do, as well as managing any EEO complaints. Again, I've already mentioned the work that Karen and Kim do to support the Inspector General, which includes the Civilian Police Review Board. And Karen, again, has been critical to getting the Office of the Inspector General up and running so that, upon Liam Brennan coming on board as a permanent IG, he was really set up to hit the ground running. So thank you, Karen, for all of your efforts. The second division I'd like to highlight is the work that's led by Nat Gale under our capital projects program and operations. And so, as I mentioned, Nat has a huge job in managing $130 million worth of capital improvement projects, which include all of the things that we're doing to invest in our park system. That also includes school construction, and Nat is really transforming the way the city manages its CIP. In addition, and just wanted to highlight the work that within sustainability, we are really proud of the fact that we were able to receive recognition from Sustainable CT for the work that we're doing specifically around reducing building energy emissions. And last but not least, I just wanted to point out an effort that Nat actually has been leading on behalf of the city in partnership with many different departments, but also with community, is Domingo. And so, as you know, we are getting ready to launch Domingo, which is an open streets program where we will shut down, 4 streets, one day, each month beginning in June, and we will activate the streets so they are vehicle free and visitors are able to experience the street in just a different way by doing different activities. Again, we're really excited to be the first city in the state of Connecticut to be able to launch an open streets program. And again, really grateful to Nat for leading that effort. So the first one is June 26th on Farmington Avenue, and I hope you'll come out to support. Next slide, please. Slide 7. So this is the work within the Office of Community Safety and Wellness. As I said, it's led by Patricia McIntosh. I, had spoken to the Heart Team initiative. And so, as you know, that is a group of social workers and peer responders that supplement our public safety staff when we receive 911 calls for persons that may be emotionally distressed. And so that was a almost a 1.5 year planning process. Really grateful to the City Council for their support and their participation in that process. We were able within the past month or so to start deploying our Heart Team partners to respond to those 911 calls. There are several successes we've experienced already. And Patricia will continue to lead that work in partnership with public safety, as well as our partner agencies. The second program I just wanted to highlight is the Universal Legal Representation Pilot Program that the City Council with Mayor supported last year. So last year there was funding set aside to support a program where the City of Hartford would pay for Hartford residents who are facing deportation to receive free legal services. And we were able to get that off the ground in partnership with New Haven Legal Assistance Association. It was definitely a group effort. The Hartford Deportation Fund was a critical partner in that program. And we are hoping that the City Council will be supportive of funding that effort again this year. Again, really proud to be one of, I think, the only cities in the state of Connecticut that is actually allocating funds from their general fund to support this type of program. And last but not least, I wanted just to also highlight the work that Patricia's been doing in partnership with Health and Human Services to support homeless outreach programs. That includes our warming center, and it also includes the work that we're doing in partnership with our homeless providers like Journey Home and Hands on Hartford to respond to those persons that in our city that may be residing in encampments. And so we, during the past year with Patricia's leadership, actually established a system for how we will work together, both as city departments and homeless providers, again, to respond to the needs of those persons living in encampments so that we are showing up with compassion and resources and not just displacing people who may be residing, again, in encampments. The second, program I wanted to highlight or division is reentry services. As you know, again, with the support of the City Council, we were able to expand our reentry center. So our reentry center, which opened in 2018 in Hartford City Hall, will now be relocating to a much bigger facility on Windsor Avenue. As you know, Community Partners in Action manages the center, and we are so excited that they will be able to help even more people through the funding that the City Council approved with Mayor as part of the American Rescue Plan. So Sue continues to support the work of the Reentry Center. In addition, Sue was able to get off the ground our Neighborhood Ambassadors Initiative. We are so excited about this. And so again, grateful for the support of the City Council through funding that had been allocated, I think almost 2 years ago now. We were able to create a workforce development program, which essentially offers job opportunities to those persons that are coming home from incarceration that are being served by the Reentry Center. We are able to offer some of those folks a job in helping beautify our city. And so we have 10 folks, again, folks that we're supporting through our Reentry Center who are being trained and provided with wraparound services. We are also giving them some job experience by having them beautify our neighborhood commercial corridors. And so they have been out in community now for almost a month. I have seen them along Franklin Avenue and Albany Avenue. And they're really there to help maintain these commercial corridors, especially, maybe those small businesses, again, who could really benefit from having, somebody like a neighborhood ambassador maintain the areas outside of their businesses. I will say to you, I recently met with some of our neighborhood ambassadors. In fact, I was so excited that they were doing this work that on their first day on the job, I actually was driving down Franklin Avenue and I saw them and I immediately stopped to chat with one of them as a group, actually, just to thank them for doing this work. And one of those ambassadors had indicated that, he was so grateful for the opportunity, that he was someone who had made a lot of mistakes and wanted to do something positive, but didn't really feel like he was given the opportunity to do that. And he feels like through this program that he is able to be a part of our community and help build and strengthen the city. So I just wanted to share that with you as an example of the impact that these type of programs have on our residents and our overall community. And then last but not least, within reentry, Sue continues to partner with providers to create housing solutions for individuals impacted by the criminal justice system. Recently it was reported in the New York Times that, those persons that come home from incarceration are 10 times more likely to be homeless. And so, we certainly have experienced that in our reentry center. It's probably one of the most popular requests we receive from those persons who are coming home from incarceration, the need to find housing. So Sue, again, through partnership, has been trying to identify potential resources that we can use here in Hartford to create housing opportunities, or at least find housing for those persons in community who have been impacted by the criminal justice system. And then last but certainly not least is our North Hartford Promise Zone. This work is led by Courtney Jackson. We are so proud that in partnership with Connecticut Children's, we secured a $30 million Promise Neighborhoods grant to implement the North Hartford Ascend pipeline. I believe we were one of only 7 cities throughout the country to receive that grant. It is extremely competitive. We had applied 2 times before, 3 times as a charm, and we were successful in our 3rd attempt. And so Courtney, in partnership with Connecticut Children's and a whole host of community partners and multiple, neighborhood revitalization zones, have been working together to implement that plan. A lot of Courtney's work includes educating residents of the Promise Zone about resources available to them. This includes our Healthy Homes program. And so just this past year, the housing division within the city has been able to rehab 8 housing units within the Promise Zone, and there are 7 additional units underway. And again, that's through that existing Healthy Homes program that we have. And the last thing I just wanted to highlight was the annual health fair that used to be hosted at Wish School. It more recently has been hosted at the Parker Memorial Center. This is done in partnership with our Department of Family and Children and the Greater Hartford chapter of the Lynx. And so Courtney and his team of AmeriCorps Vistas, provide logistical support to make that health fair happen even during this pandemic. And so I'm really grateful for the work that Sue and Courtney and Patricia are doing within the Office of Community Safety and Wellness. Next slide, please. This is just highlighting the phenomenal work that our 311 Service Center does. It is really remarkable that they have been able to keep up with the volume of calls that we receive. So as you can see, just this past fiscal year, we received over 63,000 calls that were for information alone. Again, really grateful to them. They are small, but they are mighty. It's small in terms of the number of 311 Service Center staff, but they have been able to keep up with the volume. There are 7,900 work orders that were submitted to city departments, again, that were received from phone calls we're receiving through the 311 Service Center. And, in response to the pandemic, this same team, on top of answering calls for information or city service requests, they also facilitated appointments so that, members of our community could schedule COVID-19 tests at the Arroyo Center in Pope Park. And there was about 12,000, I believe, calls that they received for appointments. So super grateful for them for stepping up in that way and supporting our COVID response efforts. You will see in the pie charts a breakdown of the calls we're receiving. Again, 89% of the calls we receive are for information and 11% are for city services. And then you will see the second pie chart, which actually breaks down which city services we are receiving requests for. The vast majority are related to the Department of Public Works. And then second would be development services. And third is health and human services. Next slide, please. This slide speaks to our recommended budget. And as you can see, there's a huge increase, but I want to just emphasize that those monies are actually existing funds, grant funds, that the mayor and council had approved in fiscal year 2020 as part of the $5 million that had been set aside to support what is now the HEART team. So that is why you see such a huge increase. Again, those are not new dollars. Those are dollars that were in a fund outside of the office of the COO, but now with the newly established Office of Community and Safety and Wellness, which oversees the HEART team, we transferred those dollars into my office. And again, that explains why there is such a significant increase. As you see, the general fund, there is an increase of about $173,000, which represents 10.5% increase as compared to last fiscal year. And that is due to $150,000 being transferred from, I believe it was Corporation Counsel's office, to my office for investigative services that is required of the Office of the Inspector General. And the remaining $23,000 is due to contractual wage increases. Next slide, please. And that is it. So I very much appreciate, again, the opportunity to share with you some of the highlights from this past fiscal year. I want to thank you for your partnership. Really grateful to the City Council, again, for your support, especially during the past 2 years, which has probably been the most difficult for all of us. And I welcome your questions at this time.
Thank you, Thea, for your detailed and thorough presentation. Always appreciate that. I do open the floor to my council colleagues. Councilwoman Rossetti, you have the floor.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Majority Leader. And thank you, Madam COO, and thank you to your team. And again, I know how hard the last 2 years have been. My question is, and I don't know if we have any substantial data yet, so maybe how are we going to do it? Because I'm really interested in the HART team and, first of all, what has it accomplished so far, but more so, will we be able to kind of see what has been taken away from the police department and, do some kind of comparisons and see what it really, how robust it is, and maybe savings along the way, or maybe savings isn't the right word, but I'm really interested in how we're going to track those different things. Thank you.
Thank you for your question, Councilwoman Rossetti, and thank you again for your support. Patricia and I have been having those conversations with each other. Patricia has been having those conversations with our public safety departments and the partner agencies that are responding to these calls. We are trying to identify, number one, what are the data points that we, want to point to, not just in terms of the number of folks that we're supporting, but, to your earlier question, how can we quantify the savings associated with the program? So we're having those conversations to figure out exactly how to do that. And we're also trying to figure out what other information, right, is critical that maybe we're not thinking about, but other cities that have implemented this same program found really beneficial. The information we have now, again, it's only been about a month or so that it's been up and running. I can give you something anecdotally, just recently, Patricia shared with me the story. We had an elderly resident who was frequently calling 911. In fact, I don't know why the number 19 sticks out to me. I think he had called 911 19 times because he had dropped his remote control and he was, asking for somebody to come by and to assist. And so, that is not something necessarily that public safety responds to, but this was relayed to our HART team. And so our HART team thought they would check in with the resident, right, to see what was going on. And when they arrived, they found an elderly gentleman by himself who was in desperate need of assistance. In fact, there could be a situation where there was elder abuse. And so they were able to assist the resident and identify resources to connect him to make sure that he was taken care of. So I think that's a great example of why this HART team initiative is so important. Again, that's something normally that police or fire, right, aren't going to respond to, right, unless they were to go to the property and kind of, investigate and see what's going on. But certainly that, is a great example of just the impact they've had in such a short amount of time. As soon as we gather more information, we'd love to, share that with City Council, more quantitative information to answer some of your questions.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Rossetti, you all set? Okay, any other questions from my colleagues?
I have more of a comment, Councilman Gale.
Yes.
Hello,
yes,
Madam
ma'am.
COO. It's a pleasure to see you on the screen. First of all, I want to thank you for the excellent work that you do every day in the city. And I know for a fact that there's a lot more that you do on a daily basis that a lot of us don't know about. Also wanted to commend you for the great job that you did while our mayor was out on in recovery and running the city. You had the support of council through that process, but great job and great leadership. And thank you to your team who's done an excellent job. It's nice to see you, Patricia, on the screen, and Karen and Janice. So keep up the good work. And I really look forward to working with you guys for the next year and a half.
Thank you, Council President, for your kind words, and thank you for always being so supportive. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Not sure who, Councilman Clark?
Yes, Councilman Surge, you have the floor.
Not sure if anybody else had a question or comment, or can I go? May I, not can I, may I go?
No, you may go.
Okay.
You may proceed. You have the floor.
Through you, Mr. Chair. Ms. Montanez, if I may call you Thea, thank you so very much for that presentation and a great update on the different programs that are taking place in the city. I do want to comment on another anecdotal information I shared. I met Patricia today on the telephone. Didn't know a lot about the HeartNet program. And boy, was I surprised of the need in the community that is really being serviced by the city of Hartford, to the point where I even have phone calls from people in Bridgeport thinking that is a statewide program and it's only a city program. So I need to commend the mayor and yourself and Patricia for actually bringing this this vision to fruition more than anything else. I know data is kind of new right now, but from what I've learned today, I would say that it's a program which is going to be greatly in need in the next coming year, more than anything else, especially with the mental issues with families. And it really is nice that these families don't have to call 911 due to the negative impact. So it is a great opportunity for them to get some help. And by calling, I call it the crisis team. So thank you so very much for implementing the program. And thank you, Patricia, for playing phone tags until we finally caught up today to address this one family needs. One of the questions through you, Mr. Chair, on your budget, Thea, is, so we no longer have any more sustainability program. I see that is gone out of the budget now.
No, so the Office of Sustainability is still within the Office of the COO. So on page 3 and on the organizational chart underneath our capital program and operations, which is led by Nat Gale, there are 2 positions to support sustainability. That is the director, which is currently vacant, but I'm fingers crossed, somebody will be joining us soon. And the second position is a sustainability assistant, which is currently held by Adam Murphy.
Okay, no, because I was just looking at the actually account departmental breakdown.
Oh,
and
okay.
For fiscal year 2023, I didn't see any funds for the sustainability and also for the 311 call center. So maybe Jen can help me in looking at this breakdown.
Through you, Councilwoman Surgeon, this is Jen. I just wanted to say that there were some reorganizations within the way that the dollars were allocated this year. So all the dollars are still there. They're just in different categories. We can share that with you, how they rolled up into, I think there's an administrative category and a couple of others. They're just named something different this year.
Yeah. No, the total amount, the 1.8 is still there. I just couldn't figure out, because I remember in last year's budget, there was a sustainability program. So you kind of reorganized Thea and just maybe move that. And also the 311 call center, is that still being utilized?
Mhm.
Mm.
Yes, yep. So the staff that supports the 311 service center is still budgeted within the office of the COO. And I'm sorry, Councilwoman Surgeon, I don't have the document in front of me that you're referencing, but to Jen's earlier point, I think maybe some of these line items were shifted to different places, but technically they are coded against the office of the COO.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. And I'm looking forward to this year's Juneteenth celebration. I know we kicked it off last year really fast, and I was totally impressed with the organizational structure. So also want to thank Ms. Taylor, because that was really kickoff. Now I think she's going to do it bigger and better this year. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm really, really looking forward to it. And I also must also, I know, not sure, the Constituent Service Department, I know it works with the mayor's office, but the programs that is being rolled out of the city and the community involvement is impressive. I do have to tell you that the community is taking advantages of the small grants that is given out to beautify their neighborhood. So I want to thank you all very much. I want to thank you, and you want to thank your team. I also want to thank Mr. Nat Gale for when he did his budget and the CIP presentation. I like the way he has now reorganized the CIP area. So I'm really looking forward to the statistics for next fiscal year 23 budget. So thank you so very much for your presentation. And I look forward to working with you all your team for this upcoming fiscal year.
Thank you, Councilwoman Surgeon, for your kind words and again, your partnership.
One more thing, I do have to say this. I also want to thank you for your patience.
Oh.
More than anything else, I need to say that because when the West Indian Celebration Committee was all up in arms with their celebration 60-year anniversary that may not have come to fruition, I want to thank you personally. You're reaching out. You smooth the feathers, some ruffled feathers a lot. And I just want to thank you so very much for your patience for working with that community, because just your personality and you just being in that room with them certainly show the caring that you did care about the community, and you really wanted to make sure that their celebration went off without a hitch. So I personally want to thank you for that.
Thank you. That means a lot to me. Thank you very much for saying that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And Councilman Clark, if I may, I have to piggyback off from Councilwoman Surgeon. And I have to say this on the record, as I don't know how our COO does it. 9 council members constantly reaching out to her, running the city. And through a pandemic, right? I'm so proud of this administration of council in the city. I mean, we rolled out the HEART team, the CPRB, we gave it teeth, an inspector general, the Domingo, and I could just go on and on and on. And we did it coming together as a city with this administration. And so that's something that we should all be very proud of. Thank you. So God bless you, Thea, with your patience, and maybe Mayor will get a letter with council member signatures on Thea Montanez needs a vacation after this budget process.
I appreciate you saying that. And he's the first one to try to kick me out of work, out of the office. But I will say, I appreciate your kind words again. And I get asked that question quite a bit. Like, I don't know how you do it. And the only reason I'm able to is because of the people on my team that are on this call, and our city workforce as a whole. I've never met more hardworking people that just want to do good work and deeply care about this community. And, it's for that reason that, I think we're able to do everything that we do in partnership with the city council. So thank you.
You're welcome. I'm all set, Mr. Chair.
Councilman Clark, we can't hear you. I'm sorry, or I can't hear you.
So he must be having communication issues with his phone. Is there anyone else that wishes to address our COO before we move to the next agenda item? Okay, with that being said, thank you to your team, Madam COO, and please feel free to stay on with us. Next on our agenda item is item 2.3, Office of the Mayor. I'll chime in until we get Councilman Majority Leader Clark back on the phone if he decides to come back.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Okay, thanks very much. Well, it's council members, it's a pleasure to be before you. My name is David Cinco-Stuber. I'm the Mayor's Chief of Staff. Delighted to be presenting to you tonight to speak with you about the budget for the Office of the Mayor for the year ahead. And I believe I may be the last department to present to you. So congratulations on reaching the end of the road here. I'll try to be brief and succinct, but also informative and what we have in store for fiscal 23. So if we could go to the next slide. Wonderful. So our mission strategic initiatives under the Office of the Mayor. Mayor's office is responsible for developing and directing the execution of the mayor's vision and all of his key initiatives. So there are many of those, but just to give a few highlights of course, some of the main topics that we're focused on these days include leading the city's recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic, maintaining financial stability for the city of Hartford as a whole. Very proud of the record of fiscal accomplishment of this administration over time, and we believe that this budget continues that progress being made on that front and carries it forward for an additional year. Working to promote economic development and economic growth across the entire city of Hartford, as well as, of course, keeping our streets safe and our neighborhoods strong. I'm going to go ahead and change slides again. So we'll have a bit of a two-part organizational chart for you here, just to sort of lay out how we're structured. And our Chief Operating Officer spoke earlier about kind of the somewhat dual arrangement for the Office of Community Engagement, but we'll give you a breakout for that in a moment. So of course, the Mayor's office starts with the Mayor himself, and then as the Chief of Staff, the remaining staff in the office report up through me. We have a Deputy Chief of Staff. We have a Director of Communications position that's currently vacant at the moment. We have been working to try and find a good candidate for that position. Still working at that, but are continuing to seek good candidates for it. We have our Research and Communications Assistant, and then we also have an EA position at the moment that is currently vacant. The next slide, I could talk about our Community Engagement Office, which is led by our Division Director, Janice Counsel. Tiana Stark's our community liaison, and then our full team, as you can see, laid out of 311 operators. As you can note from the asterisk at the bottom of the screen, those positions are technically housed within the Office of the Chief Operating Officer, but I wanted to show you the full organizational chart here for kind of how the office kind of functions on a day-to-day basis. So we can move on from here. So yes, in terms of our demographic composition of the office, it's encompassing everyone that we just showed on the two slides of the organizational chart earlier. We have that comprises about 10 folks if you were to count up all those blue boxes from before. So you could just divide these percentage figures by 10 to get the exact head count. So overwhelming majority of our folks are City of Hartford residents. In terms of race and ethnicity, we're about equally divided, 40% African American, 40% Latinx. I happen to be white myself, and we have one other individual who falls into the other category. And the office is overwhelmingly female as composition, 80%, 20%. So we can move on to the next slide. Okay, so some overall highlights of some of the things that happened over the course of the past fiscal year. Some of the initiatives that we led on here. We're continuing to work to advocate with the public to promote safety around COVID-19, inform the public on the availability of test kits and the periodic distributions that we were able to organize in partnership with other departments. And of course, also to, we're continuously working to help promote vaccinations and encourage folks to get vaccinated. It continues to remain, and boosted as well, remains the best method of protecting yourself and your loved ones, your friends and neighbors from COVID-19. Of course, coincident with the public health impact of the pandemic has been the economic impact as well, and so we're continuously working to try to promote our economic recovery and spread the word about the economic recovery initiatives that are underway, including everything that we're rolling out under the ARPA initiative and in so many other ways citywide. Of course, also through the mayor's office, we do work to organize town hall meetings on a wide variety of issues. Most recently, we've been hosting a number of events around the topic of public safety. I'll give a quick plug for an upcoming event on that front, actually. For those who are tuned in this evening, you may also be interested in checking out a town hall meeting we're going to have this coming Saturday, 11:30 a.m. On the subject of our new hospital violence intervention program that we're rolling out in partnership with our hospitals here in the city and some of our key community partner organizations to help provide intervention for folks involved in violence while they may be in the hospital to try and connect them with community resources that can be beneficial and helpful to them and reduce the likelihood of a recurrence of a violent incident. So in addition to those kind of communication responsibilities, we also advocate on behalf of the city in front of the state government for a wide variety of different policy changes that we were advocating for this year. Just to give a short list of some of those items that we successfully advocated for in the past legislative session that just closed a little over a week ago. We did advocate for improved mental health care in the juvenile justice system. This is something that Mayor feels very passionately about, that when young people do come in contact with the juvenile justice system, that there be adequate mental health resources that are provided to them in the context of that system. And so we were advocated successfully to have some additional resources provided on that front. The next item, we did advocate around assessment appeals reform. Sounds like perhaps a bit of a dry topic, but as anyone who's sat in on any of the Board of Assessment Appeals hearings recently will know, there are a large number of assessment appeals that take place every year, particularly in light of the property revaluation that the city is currently going through. So we successfully advocated for some changes to the rules and requirements, particularly for larger commercial properties around assessment appeals to ensure that the appraisals are required to demonstrate when these appeals make it all the way to the Superior Court at the state level that accurate facts are being provided in the dispute of those cases. That could potentially could save the city multiple millions of dollars. We also did quite a bit of advocacy around Hartford Public School construction projects, clearing up some issues that had arisen, and particularly around construction at Bulkley High School. We were successful in that effort, and so that project is going to be able to move forward as has been long planned. Both the overall work at the school as well as the relocation of HPS's administrative offices to the campus there at Bulkley. We also did some advocacy around conducting a study of Brainerd Airport. This council, of course, has expressed its views on the airport and expressed a desire to see redevelopment options for that property be explored. And so this study that we were able to help advocate for at the state level, I'll give a particular tip of the hat here to State Senator John Fonfara for his leadership on this issue. So there's $1.5 million that was allocated to study environmental, economic, and other considerations to the closure and potential redevelopment of the airport property there. And lastly, of course, we continue to advocate for additional resources to be brought to Hartford and all manner of different state resources, overall municipal aid, pilot funding, and then, of course, also economic development aid for the city of Hartford. We were able to secure a new bond authorization for about $50 million of additional support through CRDA to support ongoing economic developments citywide. So just a taste there of a smattering of a few of the many policy issues we're advocating for in front of the state over the course of the past year. So we can change slides again. Want to give a bit of a spotlight here to some of the work that goes on in our community engagement office. With all credit here to our division director, Janice Counsel, and her excellent work leading the community engagement team. Community engagement was able to secure close to $130,000 from the Hartford Foundation for Public Giving to support our Love Hartford initiatives, including all of your block projects, neighborhood art initiative, support for our Love Hartford week events. Of course, Love Hartford Week is a tremendous event that we put on back in October, and we'll look to do again in the year ahead, where we organize and support cleanup efforts all across the city. A tremendous event of civic pride, and that does a whole lot of good in cleaning up various areas around town. Community engagement also worked on administering over $40,000 in Operation Fuel funding. Operation Fuel is home heating assistance to folks who are in need and maybe struggling to pay their heating bills. I'm so proud to help out with that effort. Of course, we also partnered with the Office of Equity and Opportunity. This was mentioned in the CEO's presentation, but for our inaugural Juneteenth celebration last year, and looking forward to additional celebrations of Juneteenth coming up in just about a month. Community engagement also led the organization of our citywide United Way employee giving campaign that's doing a whole lot of good there. And so thank you to all city employees who may be listening tonight for your generosity and for contributing toward that effort. And then lastly, one other event that we were able to help organize was our famous toy drive amidst the holidays, working in partnership with the Urban League of Greater Hartford and with our police and fire departments to serve over 500 families and 800 children. We also, being COVID times, were able to arrange for a vaccine clinic to be put on in conjunction with our toy drive last year. And I'll give some thanks here to our partners over at the new Yukon Hartford branch for helping us to stage not only the vaccination clinic, but also to help give folks a warm place to wait as they came through our COVID safe, socially distant toy drive back in December. So we can move on to the next slide from here. Okay, so overall for our budget for the mayor's office, relatively small changes overall in the net. There were some small increases due to contractual and other wage increases that came through. We also have a bit of an ebb and flow of grants. As you saw on the last slide, our community engagement office in particular is always pursuing new grant opportunities to try and launch new efforts that will benefit the community. And so there's a bit of an ebb and flow of how those dollars come in and out. So at the moment, a slight dip in grant funding there, but we're always pursuing and looking for new opportunities on that front as well. So with that, I believe we may have come to the end of the deck. So thank you all very much for your time and your attention. I'd be delighted to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Dave. Oh, go ahead, Councilman Clark. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you, Dave. Any questions from my council colleagues?
I don't have a question for Dave, but I just want to thank him for the great relationship that we have with him over at Counsel, and continue the good work. And we're happy to have you on board and look forward to working with you for another year and a half. I don't know why I continue to say that today. But thank you for everything.
Thank you, Council President. Likewise, it's an honor and privilege to serve alongside all of you on the council as well.
May I have a comment also through you, Mr. Chair?
Yes, Councilwoman Surgeon.
Thank you, sir. Just also want to thank Mr. Stuber, welcome him to our community. He's been with us. Dave, you've been with us, what, over a year now?
Yeah, I came to the city staff, let me see, it was July of last year, but been living in the city proper for well over a dozen years now. So, yeah. But yeah, pleased to be here at City Hall.
Well, welcome. And thank you for all your experience you've brought from the state level to us here. And thank you for answering the telephone when I call. Dave was extremely helpful today when I didn't know anything about the Heartfelt program. And he was very helpful in, sending me on to Patricia to follow up to help the constituents. I just want to thank you for that. And I made a mistake. I kind of think through the COO, the Office of Community Involvement, but it really is out of the mayor's office. So I think it seems like Janice is covering two different departments here, both COO and the mayor's office. So she's definitely seemed to be in demand all over. So Janice, I just want to thank you on behalf of the residents and all the great programs you have brought to us. Looking forward to seeing how beautiful our city becomes this coming spring, summer. Thank you. I know it's a lot of different programs out there. And you certainly also, I must not forget, you attend every single one of the NRZ meetings throughout the entire city. And that is 12 NRZs, or is it 13? I think it's 12, in conjunction with the Hartford Next program. And we do, we do meet several times a week. So thank you for working your 40 hours plus. I really appreciate your support in attending the NRZ, because you tend to bring all the information that is going on within the city. Our community don't read your newsletter. I think some of us do, but you're actual present at this community meeting and sharing all the programs that is available to us, and I'm seeing more and more and more of the different community taking advantages of these programs. So thank you very much for your efforts and your patience in working with us. That's it, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Councilwoman Surgeon. Any other questions or comments, statements by my council colleagues? Councilman Gale, you have the floor.
Yeah, just a real quick question. And I don't know if it's appropriate here, but you're the last one standing, so we have to ask the question now. Is Hartford decides in this budget anywhere, and if so, where? And if you don't know, if somebody could just get back to us with what that number is.
I'm afraid, Councilman, that I don't know that off the top of my head, but we can certainly get an answer for you on that.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I'll help you by saying that Councilman Gale, that's in the CDBG funds.
If this is Jen, can I chime in for a moment? I believe it's in the CIP budget. And I believe it's funded at the same level it was last year.
Aha, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Jen.
Any other questions? Is Jen, just for clarification, Hartford decides, is that what amount is that? 50,000?
I believe it's roughly that number. It might be slightly more. It's not a round number this year. I don't believe it wasn't last year either.
Okay, thank you.
So let me also ask you, Jen, do they also get funding through the CDBG also and the CIP funds?
I don't believe so. I believe it's only through the CIP.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Any other questions from my council colleagues? Seeing none. Hearing none. Okay. Dave, thank you for your presentation. Thank you for being with us and saying yes to serving the great city of Hartford and the people of Hartford. We do appreciate your support and your assistance on trying to help us to make the lives of the residents of the city of Hartford better. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilman. Pleasure to speak with all of you.
All right, well, that concludes our last and final budget presentation for the fiscal year 23 for the Operations Management, Budget, and Government Accountability Committee. So we are going to recess this meeting until our next scheduled meeting, which is going to be on Monday, May 16th at 6 p.m., which is a regular scheduled meeting of the OMBGA committee. So we thank everyone for attending and being with us for these past 2 weeks. And we look forward to having a thorough 3 weeks. Thank you, Councilman. 3 weeks. And we look forward to continuing this
But
discussion
who's
debate.
counting? Who's counting majority
Yeah,
leader?
I thought maybe it was 4 weeks. But we will continue this conversation and debate next week, and because I believe that we will be deliberating on the mayor's recommended budget on May 18th with a time to be determined. So thank you very much for joining in, and please everyone continue to stay safe and stay healthy. And until we see each other again, have a great night. Take care.
Good night, everyone.
Night.